Good morning. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Assembly Committee on Housing and Community Development of May 13, 2015. Since we don't have a quorum, we'd like to proceed as a subcommittee. And at this time, I'd like to ask Assemblymember Lopez to present her bill. This is item number 3, AB 1448. Anytime you're ready, you may proceed.
Okay.
Oops.
Okay.
Oh, well.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I would like first to thank you, the committee staff, for working with my office and accept the committee amendments. Today, I present to you AB 1448. This will be allow the Californians to hand in their clothes on the drying truck's clothesline or similar device. Today, more people are looking different ways to use the less energy and save money. This bill makes sure that residents have the right to dry their clothesline without fear being asked to move from there where they live. This bill not allow the attendants to damage the property or hanging clothes on their personal space. Here today with me, I have two witnesses in support who will testify.
Good morning.
Please.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. Ignacio Hernandez on behalf of the Utility Reform Network. We are the sponsors of the bill. We have another witness here. Let me just say briefly, we came to this bill because Turn was doing a lot of community outreach throughout the state regarding the cost of utility bills. There's really been a spike in utility shutoffs in California. Somewhere around 70,000 Californians had their utilities turned off. And we were speaking with folks, especially low-income, working-class folks, about the challenges that they had. They can't afford, they can't afford dryers that are very expensive, that are low energy. So one thing that they started doing was really kind of going back to using dry racks and using clotheslines. And one of the challenges that they found is that oftentimes their landlord they were being told by their landlord that they're not able to use the clothesline. And so it became a problem for them. And we want to get clarity, as many other states already have in their law, that clotheslines are something that can be used with some balance for the landlord to have some restrictions on it. But it's something that's cost effective, and it's something that's very, very helpful for people in California right now. I'm going to turn it over to the other two witnesses very briefly.
Next witness, please. Morning.
Thank you. Mindy Spat with Turn, the Utility Reform Network. Thank you for spending the time with us this morning. This is a really simple bill, and it's simply to reduce emissions. It's very consistent with our state's goals in AB 32. It has benefits for the consumer who uses the clothesline and hence has a lower bill. It has benefits for the environment and benefits for our overall electric system because we can actually reduce consumption. This is a low-cost, low-tech solution. We've had so many high-cost, high-tech solutions with dubious benefits like smart meters, the solar initiative, and the various parts of AB 32. At the same time, this bill requires no subsidy, no ads by PG&E, no PUC proceedings. There's just sort of no cost, no downside, and all benefits. Why is it necessary? There's a few reasons. One is, again, because our state has committed to reducing our greenhouse gases. We lag behind pretty much all of Europe in the use of clotheslines, and that includes England, which has far less sun than we do. We have many customers who are experiencing shutoffs. It's approximately 72,000 last month were shut off. So anything we can do to reduce their bills is going to be significant. We've also had low-income customers in San Francisco threatened with eviction for the use of clotheslines. I mean, really, again, this is in a state that prides itself on being environmentally friendly and promoting renewable energy. So we have the way the bill is currently written, it's true that landlords are able to approve or disapprove a specific clothesline, but what we want to do is eliminate the possibility of an eviction for using a clothesline and really move our whole state toward this kind of renewable, affordable energy. Thank you.
Thank you. Next witness, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, honorable members of the committee. My name is Tina Rasnow. I'm a pro bono attorney, meaning a retired attorney, in Ventura County, California. And almost a decade ago, I authored a resolution before the Conference of California Bar Associations on the use of clotheslines, and it passed. And I'm so pleased to be here today. It took a while, but I thank Assemblymember Lopez for sponsoring this bill. I understand that societal change generally takes longer than individual environmental consciousness. And while I have met many people over the years who wish to use what they can, to do what they can to reduce their carbon footprint, institutional bans on the use of clotheslines proved a frustrating obstacle to such a simple remedy to reduce fossil fuel consumption. At the court where I used to work, I often saw homeowners embroiled in battles with property management companies and homeowner association boards of directors over violations of CC&Rs or rules and regulations. Sometimes a minor infraction could escalate into large fines and fees, collection actions, and the destruction of any sense of security or community in one's home and neighborhood. Using the sun to naturally dry clothes and linens should not lead to such fractious debates with homeowner boards, property managers, or landlords. While I have been using a clothesline for over 30 years, I live on a ranch in a rural area with no CC&Rs. The closest city to me, Thousand Oaks, has mostly grown into a city since the 1970s. So almost all of the housing there is within CC&Rs, within homeowner associations, common interest developments. Thus, a person who wants to live on a property not governed by restrictions against use of clotheslines may not be able to find such housing in suburban areas, particularly those areas experiencing large growth in the last 40 years. It appears that the tipping point has been reached on a societal level where seeing clotheslines in use no longer represents poverty, but now is commonly viewed as good environmental stewardship. Scenes of Italian villas with linen swaying in the breeze are deemed charming by tourists returning from Europe, not eyesores. The time has come to allow those who wish to reduce fossil fuel consumption by using the sun and wind to dry laundry to do so. After all, it is clean laundry they will be airing while not using dirty fuel. I urge your support for AB 1448. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Before we go to the next supporters, let's establish quorum. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Chow.
Here.
Chow here. Steinnorth. Steinnorth here. Burke. Burke here. Chu. Chu here. Gaines. Lopez.
Here.
Lopez here. Mullen.
We do have quorum. Let's go to additional supporters. Your name, association, and also your position, please.
Mr. Chairman and members, my name is Gil Topidi. I am the Energy Director for the California Municipal Utilities Association, representing 40 of the state's locally owned public utilities or utility districts. We are in support of the bill.
Thank you. Next, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Carrie Mazzoni for the Educational Community of Homeowners. We had a oppose unless amended position on the bill, but with the amendments that are being taken today, I anticipate that our position will change to at least a neutral, and I want to thank the author and her staff for working with us on this.
Thank you very much. Next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. Skip Dahm on behalf of the Community Associations Institute of California. We, too, had an opposed position unless amended and been working closely with the member's staff and met with the member yesterday. Our concerns are pretty focused. For one thing, we'd like to know whether or not front yards in planned developments are exclusive use areas where these clotheslines and racks may or may not be placed. We'd have an issue with that. Secondly, while this bill and another today suggests that the homeowner association may in fact adopt reasonable rules, what if they adopted a rule that prohibited the placement of one of these in the front yard? Now, is that reasonable or unreasonable? So it creates a potential dispute in every HOA. So to close, I'd just say that we're working closely with the author. The staff's been very competent and has accepted amendments, but we still have these concerns and will continue to work.
Thank you very much. Next.
Catherine Borg from the Western Manufactured Housing Communities Association. We're here today to remove our opposition and would like to thank the author for listening to our concerns.
Thank you very much. Next, please.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Ron Kingston representing 5 regional apartment associations. They're listed in opposition. We've been communicating with your staff. As a result of the author accepting particularly amendment number 2, we are removing our opposition. That is the Orange County Apartment Association, California Southern Cities, East Bay Rental Property Association, North Valley, and NorCal Rental Housing Association. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Keith Dunn on behalf of the California Apartment Association, a statewide organization representing apartment owners. We, too, are removing our opposition, going to neutral. We appreciate the author working with us and are happy to remove our opposition. Thank
you very much. Anyone else in support or in opposition of the bill, please step forward. Hearing none and seeing none. Assemblymember Lopez, are you accepting the amendments as proposed?
Yes.
Thank you very much. And let's bring it back to the committee. Questions, comments from committee? The bill has been moved. And I'll second that bill. So with that, seeing no other comments or questions, would you like to close?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I just asking you for your aye vote.
Thank you very much. And Madam Secretary, please call the roll. The recommendation is do pass with amendments. Go ahead.
Do pass as amended. Chow.
Aye.
Chow, aye. Steinort. No. Steinort, no. Burke. Aye. Burke, aye. Chu. Aye. Chu, aye. Gaines. Mullen. Aye. Mullen, aye. Lopez.
Aye.
Lopez, aye.
Congratulations, your bill is out. Thank you very much. Next, I believe we have Assemblymember Gonzalez. Welcome. This is AB 349.
I have brought samples if anyone is interested.
All right.
Good morning, Chair and members. AB 349 is a common sense bill. As we all know, we are in the 4th year of a drought with no end in sight. In April, Governor Brown ordered a 25% statewide reduction in urban water consumption. In addition, Governor Brown ordered that California take out 50 million square feet of lawns to conserve water. Yet homeowners associations are still forcing their homeowners to maintain grass lawns and fining them if they are out of HOA compliance, and still penalizing homeowners who replace their lush, water-intensive lawns with attractive, well-designed landscaping centered around artificial grass. AB 349 ensures that they have the right to alter the landscaping on their own residential property to better conserve water by replacing grass with artificial grass. Homeowners who pursue conservation should be recognized and encouraged, not sued and fined. Because residential landscaping accounts for 1/3 of all urban water usage statewide, allowing homeowners the freedom to use conservation-friendly landscaping, including artificial turf, will be one important way in reaching our mandatory water reduction goals this year. With me in support to testify is Glenn Farrell from the San Diego County Water Authority, and Mr. Gross, Alan Gross, an HOA homeowner from Thousand Oaks.
Bill's been moved and seconded. Please proceed.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. Glenn Farrell with the San Diego County Water Authority. Obviously, we're here in support of the bill. The San Diego region is really proud of what it's done in terms of water conservation. Since 1990, the county has grown by 700,000 population, and yet we've reduced per capita water use by 31%. AB 349 represents another piece to the puzzle. It's not the solution to the drought, obviously, but it allows homeowners to make decisions that help to improve their gallons per capita per day reductions as mandated by the State Water Resources Control Board. The bill provides an important balance for HOAs to also retain some authority and control over design, aesthetic standards in their community. Now is not the time to limit our options for meeting drought response, and so we strongly encourage your yes vote on AB 349.
Thank you. Next witness, please.
My name is Alan Gross. I'm a surgeon in Thousand Oaks, California. My wife and I are here on our own dime and taking time off of my practice to speak to you guys. We bought a home in 2000 from a large corporation who developed the whole development, wrote the CC&Rs, and has not modified them since. The CC&Rs, we were told, were for everyone's benefit and to maintain common areas, and they would work with us in cooperation. Nothing could be further from the truth. About a year and a half ago, we submitted a plan to remove 22,000 square feet of sod and sprinklers and replace with artificial turf. We were immediately denied in the front yard, but approved in the side and rear yard. We asked why, and they said they didn't have language, so we provided them with language from another HOA. They said they issued mumbles about toxicity. We asked them, why is it more toxic in the front yard but not in the side and rear yard? If there really were toxicity issue, it would be everywhere. And the reality is they're building new homes with artificial grass in their front of their homes. We provided pictures to the members yesterday. It's important to know that our documents are silent on the issue of artificial grass. And so we removed all of our artificial grass, all of our sods, so nobody would ever be able to sprinkle that lot again. We've gone now from 5,000 gallons a day to under 750 gallons a day. What is more in continuity than taking out 22,000 square feet of grass and putting artificial turf in the exact same place? Our neighborhood is planned as a Georgian neighborhood. Have you ever seen a cactus in the front of a house in Virginia? It doesn't go with our neighborhood. They want to maintain the continuity. So the fact of the matter is we're using 80% less water. The ALCC guidelines are not current. Our Constitution is constantly modified as a living document to our ever-changing goals and ideals. The CC&Rs are not being interpreted given the current environmental condition. In fact, we have protections for our CCR under SB 992. If I let my lawn die, they can't sue me. But with artificial grass, they can sue me. So the real issue here is choice. The choice for us to be able to use our house with quiet enjoyment and use our properties in a manner consistent with the HOA guidelines and consistent with maintaining the property in the neighborhood that we were developed in. I should be able to use my front lawn for a picnic with my grandchildren, and we've noted artificial grass is not only allergen-free with grass allergies, there's no mold and mildew. We're also controlling the environment in the sense that rattlesnakes will not come across artificial grass to my home, and we had an 8-foot snake a few days ago my wife killed. In addition, we're not using chemicals or fertilizers to go into the environment, into the food chain. So in conclusion, we're maintaining our neighborhood community, reducing our water supply tremendously. The property is more green and more consistent with what we bought for 15 years, and we've eliminated all the chemicals. The HOA can certainly deny common areas, and we're not taking away their right to control issues in our neighborhood. They can certainly put in guidelines of quality of grass. Our installation is on something called DG, which is a form of dirt. It's totally clean, non-toxic, and all we're asking for is the HOAs to interpret these CC&Rs consistent with the current environment that the governor's established. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next witness, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I'm Wendy Ritterbusch with the Association of California Water Agencies. 6 short weeks ago, the state's snow survey revealed the lowest snowpack on record, just 5% of average for the date, and that really underscores that California is in its 4th year of an historic drought. We have to make as many changes to cope and conserve as practicable, and one of these areas is synthetic turf as an option to water-loving grass. It's not your grandma's old-school AstroTurf anymore. It's technologically advanced synthetic turf that looks like the real deal. If there were ever a time when we need to be open to alternatives, it's now. The time's now.
Thank you very much. Next witness, please.
Mr. Chairman and members, Dave Milton, California Association of Realtors. For all the reasons previously stated, we are in support.
Thank you. Next, please.
Danielle Blassa with the California Municipal Utilities Association. Our 40 water members represent 70% of Californians, and we are also in strong support of the bill.
Thank you. Next, please.
Maria Garcia with Greenberg-Traurig on behalf of the Landscape Contractors Association in support.
Thank you. Anyone else in support of the bill? Opposition, please come forward. Anytime you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Carrie Mazzoni for the Educational Community of Homeowners. We have an opposed position on the bill. We are concerned about potential health risk that could impact other members of a homeowners association, those with children, those with elders. And we are in support of SB 47 by Senator Hill, which is asking for a study on artificial turf prior. We support that. We want to see a study. And then if there are no health risks, then we would be supportive of such a measure. But we think the measure is premature. Thank you.
Next witness, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Skip Dahm again on behalf of the Community Associations Institute. The CAI is an association of associations nationwide. It's about 41 years old. And there are thousands of associations that we represent in California, hundreds of which are in every one of your districts. I view the Housing and Community Development Committee as a policy committee, which is perfect. But I'm afraid that this bill, so to speak, gets into the weeds too much. It gets into too much detail on implementation. And frankly, I think that the bill is unnecessary because Ms. Gonzalez's bill last year, AB 24, suffices. It says the same thing as this bill, with one exception. This bill actually can be interpreted to be a statutory endorsement of a particular private sector product, artificial or inorganic material. We need to have, as homeowner associations, the ability to adopt rules and regulations in regard to its installation. And although there's a provision in this bill, and I've spoken to the staff for the last 3 or 4 months on this measure, and they've been very cooperative and helpful, and we're trying to get there with them. But the provision in the bill that allows us to establish regulations is the same provision that we testified on the last bill. If the HOA decides that this material may or may not be placed in a certain place, may or may not be a certain color, may or may not be a certain height, etc., who's going to challenge that in terms of being reasonable or unreasonable? That provision, which is supposed to be a safeguard for us to do what we wish to maintain the streetscape, the ambiance, the landscape design that people buy into. And if that is something that we want to establish as a rule, so to speak, for continuing this ambiance, someone says that's unreasonable. So the bill actually will create a dispute in 50,000 homeowner associations because of 1 or 2 or maybe a dozen different people want to have inorganic material, particularly in their front yards. Artificial, synthetic, fake grass is not organic. And people buy into a community not for fake appearances. We endorse the issue of another study of this materials that is posed in Senator Hill's SB 47. And I might add this. In the hearing that was held on Mr. Hill's bill last month, every artificial turf representative stated on the record they believe this additional study is necessary, is needed, because the prior 2 studies didn't get to the health hazards that were alleged and sustained in Attorney General Brown's lawsuit against the industry some years ago. So I think the bill is ahead of its time. It's unnecessary. It's unwanted by a lot of association volunteer members. And for that reason, we're opposing it unless amended to, well, let's just say oppose it at this point, leave it at that.
Thanks very much. Additional witnesses in opposition to the bill? Seeing and hearing none. Let's bring it back to the committee. Questions, comments? Anyone? Ms. Gaines, go ahead.
Good morning. Can you tell me what happens when the rain falls and hits this inorganic material? Does it go through? Does it permeate into the ground? Or does it simply roll off, go in the gutter, and wash away into the ocean?
I can bring a industry expert up, but basically, yes, it's still to describe in full. I don't personally have artificial turf or any turf.
Hello.
Yes, can you?
Yes, my name is Steve Linville. I'm with Preger Artificial Grass. I've been in the artificial grass business since 1975. Sorry, I got a little bit of a cold. The water, all the systems made for landscape now, the water goes through the system. It's perforated. It doesn't inhibit the water. The turf percolation rate is typically around 30 to 32 inches per hour. That's a vast amount. The limiting factor is not the percolation of the turf, but the base material underneath it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's made out of a plastic, is that right?
Right. Almost all of the landscape products are made out of polyethylene or polypropylene.
Okay. I have a hard time with this bill because I do honor that contractual relationship with the homeowners association. I have a lot of homeowners associations in my district that have these rules that want to maintain a certain atmosphere in the community, and the home buyers buy into that and sign that contractual relationship, knowing full well what they're getting into. So I just have a hard time moving toward interfering in that. Okay.
Would you like to address that, or?
I understand, and this isn't my first bill to do that. I think you supported last year a drought-resistant landscaping bill that said HOAs could not prohibit drought-resistant landscaping. The world has changed, and the drought has caused, or should cause us, to change the relationship we have with our own yards. Unfortunately, a lot of these CC&Rs were written well before we anticipated what we're seeing now. And as at the same time, the quality and scope and broad range of artificial turf has expanded. And so nothing in the bill prevents an HOA from having guidelines on what is underneath the artificial turf. So, like, how much of this is being absorbed. No guidelines on what type of artificial turf, the color, the purpose. But as you can see, and that's one of the reasons I brought samples. The aesthetics have developed. A lot of times when people think artificial turf, they think back to the original, football artificial turf that looks like green carpet, which I think is fine, but I live where people park on their driveways, on their lawns. So this would be a beautiful addition to my neighborhood. It's amazing the quality and ability of artificial landscaping now to look and feel and act like real grass. And because it's such a dire point, we have homeowners across the state who reached out to us after our bill last year say, we've got to add this. We're being fined for trying to act responsibly. I think we've got to allow that. And because the future of California is not one where we're going to, despite any contract between the HOA and the homeowner, that we're going to continue to allow lush green grass in a time when we're told we have to stop watering our grass. So, times have changed. But I understand your concerns. It's just, I think that we're in a new era.
Mr. Lopez, go ahead. Bill has been moved and seconded already. Thank you. And all right,
I'll just. Oh, can I?
Go ahead, Ms. Berg. Go ahead.
I've had artificial grass for 5+ years, and for me, it was an incredible savings in my water bill. And so I highly support this. Quite frankly, instead of our grass turning brown out here, we shouldn't probably be watering any grass and have a solution similar. So I wholeheartedly believe it's time to move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Yes, also I'd like to thank the author for bringing this forward. I actually had the privilege of serving on HOA boards and continue to do so at this point. I spent 8 years, and I do know the restrictions of CC&Rs that were drafted sometimes 25, 30 years ago, and the requirements to actually modify those CC&Rs are quite onerous, where you need to have not only 75% of the homeowners approve, but sometimes the people that actually own the debt on the home. So it can be quite challenging. You can imply these rules in their rules and regs, but then you have homeowners that can actually challenge those as well. So I can see why this type of legislation is necessary, especially in the drought. And that's where I believe it comes down to where we have to take action. As far as the percolation on that grass, I've kind of looked into it myself. A few thousand square feet of yard and a very large water bill later makes you really think about that. And the decomposed granite that goes underneath there really does help almost as much going through that than it does actually with the runoff that comes with natural grass. Mm-hmm. So with that, I appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Seeing no other comments and questions, would you like to close?
I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Madam Secretary, the recommendation is do pass.
Motion do pass. Chow?
Aye.
Chow, aye. Steinort? Steinort, aye. Burke? Burke, aye. Chu? Chu, aye. Gaines? Gaines, aye. Lopez? Lopez, aye. Mullen? Mullen, aye.
Your bill is out. Congratulations. That brings us to the final item on the agenda, which is AB 596. Assemblymember Daley, welcome.
I don't have any props with me this morning.
Oops. You can sing and dance?
Yeah. No artificial turf. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. This bill deals with a small but important requirement that is being proposed for homeowners associations. Currently, homeowners associations in a common interest development are not required to inform their homeowners if the development is an approved project pursuant to the Federal Housing Administration or Department of Veterans Administration guidelines. This is important because approval by either of those federal agencies can be helpful to potential buyers within an HOA community because it may allow them to obtain loans at lower interest rates. Conversely, if an HOA community has not been approved by the FHA or VA, or if it has lost its FHA-approved status, that could force some property owners who are looking to refinance into paying higher interest rates. This bill simply adds an additional requirement that HOAs notify their members in conjunction with the annual budget reports that are already prepared and circulated, whether their communities are FHA or VA approved. In response to concerns expressed by some homeowner associations, I have amended my bill to require simply an annual statement referencing the FHA or VA approved status. One simple statement. Additionally, I am happy to work with Ledge Council to further clarify that the bill applies only to condominium HOAs. The bill is sponsored by the Orange County Business Council and is supported by the California Association of Realtors. With me today to speak briefly is Brian Starr, representing the Orange County Business Council, the sponsor of the bill. Also, Ms. Lisa Dunn of the Orange County Association of Realtors is here, as well as the California Association of Realtors. Brian, if you could go ahead, please.
Absolutely. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Brian Starr, representing Orange County Business Council. Workforce housing is one of our 4 core initiatives at the Business Council, and we have the blessing of being the HOA capital of the world in Orange County. This is a very good bill with simple requirements that has lofty goals, and those goals are in line with, of course, the Speaker's housing package, which seeks to increase home ownership and housing opportunity for Californians. We think that this is an important measure. On a personal note, I too serve on a HOA board, and I know that this is an important requirement that I think I would personally want to have the opportunity to know whether we were FHA and VA certified for my own purposes if I ever sought to sell my property. But obviously, we're opening up the opportunity for first-time homebuyers and veterans, and I think this bill accomplishes that goal, and we urge your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next witness, please.
My name is Lisa Dunn. I'm a full-time realtor, and I've also been a member of a board of directors for an HOA. I am currently with the Orange County Association of Realtors, and I am the lead of the FHA VA Condo Project Approval Task Force. FHA loans are a product that are used by many home buyers. Many of the first-time buyers are using this loan product, and many people that are seeking to re-enter the home ownership market are using them as well. And VA loans are one of the most attractive loan products available. It helps our veterans and active military members obtain a piece of the American dream. With home prices approaching pre-recession highs in many of the areas in our states, many of these qualified buyers can only purchase attached condominiums. If they want to use their FHA or VA loan to purchase one of these homes, the association must be FHA or VA approved. Roughly 1/3 of the condominium complexes in the area that I work in, which is South Orange County, have an FHA approval. That eliminates 2/3 of the available homes for these buyers to purchase. The numbers are roughly the same for both FHA and VA. Many of these condominium complexes were originally approved by the FHA. However, in 2010, HUD decided to enforce some policies they had on their books, which eliminated approximately 9,600 homeowners associations across the country from having their FHA status stay the same. These communities now have to seek renewal, and it has to be sought every 2 years. Many of the people that live in these communities are not aware of this, and many of the people sitting on the HOA boards are not aware of this as well. This approval acts as a barometer of the fiscal health of an association, and it helps keep the property values at their highest. Since 2011, we've been working hard to educate homeowners, the boards of directors of the homeowners associations, and the HOA management companies as to the importance of obtaining and renewing these vital approvals. This bill would bring this matter to light at a statewide level. More FHA and VA condo project approvals would create more workforce housing from existing stock at no cost to the state. I do have some brochures that I would like to ask the chair's permission to leave behind with information that we have that we've been passing out. But I do ask for your support of this bill. Thank you.
That'll be fine. Next witness, please.
Mr. Chairman and members, Dave Milton, California Association of Realtors. For all the reasons stated, we are in support. We are particularly pleased with the latest amended version because it makes it very clear that this is a single annual disclosure on a separate document, so it's very clear what that status is.
Thank you very much. Additional witnesses in support of the bill, please step forward. Witnesses in opposition to the bill, please step forward.
Hi.
Welcome again.
Yeah.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Skip Dahm on behalf of the Community Associations Institute of California, and in fact nationwide. Going back to my first comment on the other bill, this is a policy committee, and the policy that AB 596 sets forth is terrific. We fully support notification and awareness of all 9 million homeowners of the fact that their condominium association may in fact be FHA certified and VA certified. As I've told the staff, the author, while the policy is great, once again, we're getting down into minutia. We're getting down into the weeds of how this notification shall go out, be prepared, and go out. And I think what needs to be kept in mind that out of the 50,000 community associations, approximately 30,000 have no staff. Like yourselves, you may be stuffing these envelopes, and if you have 500 units or 1,000 units, you now have to stuff 2 additional pieces, separate pieces of paper into the disclosure, one for the FHA and one for the VA certification. So there's actually 2 pieces. And you may say that's no big deal. Well, good. Then if it's no big deal, why have it in the bill? The issue is this notification is probably no more important than any other part of the disclosure package that goes out, which includes the budget, potential lawsuits, insurance provisions, etc. So it could easily be put into that document, cut and paste into that, without having to ask 30,000 volunteers to go out and buy 2 reams of paper and stuff it in. It's an implementation issue that's best left to the people that live in these environments, in these associations. So good policy, unnecessary implementation requirements, too much minutia. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next witness, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Carrie Mazzoni for the Educational Community of Homeowners. We have an opposed unless amended position on the bill, and we think the bill is greatly improved with the recent amendments. However, we are concerned that the bill puts the accountability for whether or not a condominium development is approved on the board rather than on a realtor or homeowner or home buyer. We would be fine with a notice that of the importance of being FHA or VA approved, as well as a statement saying there are websites available for the homeowner to review to see whether or not the development is approved. Websites can change, so we would not want to have a website listed. For this reason, we feel for our volunteer board members that this is just a little bit too much for them in terms of accountability. They don't want to make a mistake, and so we would ask for your no vote.
Thank you very much. Additional witnesses in opposition. Before you leave the table, I do have a couple questions, if I may. But additional witnesses in opposition to the bill, please come forward also at this time. Hearing none, but it's my understanding the bill only, well, under current regulations and laws, the HOA is already required to submit the annual report, the budget report, right? So all the measure does is to require the additional statement saying that whether or not the condo is FHA approved, for example, and that information is readily available online, as you stated, right? So what's the additional burden? I mean, as far as submitting the additional statement.
The burden would be the association board would be taking responsibility for telling a buyer whether or not the development was approved. That approval could have lapsed. And so that's why we don't want them to have that responsibility. We don't mind having something in the annual report that says there are websites available to go and find out this information, but we don't want that responsibility for the board to say yes or no.
Let's bring it back to the committee. Questions and comments?
I have a question as well to follow up on the chairman's question. Again, having served on a board, a lot of times to know whether the units are actually upside down or whether you don't have renters that are making their payments that would disqualify you from further FHA financing, a lot of times it's really only the board that has that information. The people that are residents in those complexes are not going to be privy to that information. Would you share with me how homeowners in that area that are actually looking to turn over their units, where they're within the price range of FHA financing, how else other than this notification would they be able to know whether they qualify or not?
Well, it's my understanding that they could go to the website and find out.
Okay, so one specific website or a website to be able to work with, but certainly notification that they have an understanding. I mean, it goes out with the annual report, it goes out with the budget, and the budget tells you where they are financially as far as your percentage to reserves and how much money is coming in. But a lot of times the budget is not telling how many homeowners are derogatory or what the receivables are. A lot of that information is really held only for the board members to be able to make sure that they're following through on their own collection policies. Mm-hmm. So if they're not following through on their own collection policies, they're not, actually doing the work, the due diligence necessary in their fiduciary responsibility as board members. Hence, that would be why the board members would be responsible to be able to make a notification to the residents of the complex that they've fallen outside of compliance.
May I respond to your comment? That's all very true, and that's why we support the policy of notifying everybody. But the mechanics of doing it should best be left to the 5 members on the board or the 10 members on the board. Let them handle it. I mean, put it in their annual disclosure package as paragraph 7 or something, which once it's in, it's in. And the separate piece of paper is just unnecessary administrative burden.
Any additional questions or comments? Hearing and seeing none, would you like to close?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate the questions that have been raised, and I think those questions help flesh out what's really at stake here, which is the clarity of the notification. This is very, very important information to the homeowners in these associations, so it has to be clear and present and not buried in a report, but a separate sheet of paper, as was mentioned. So I respectfully ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. The bill has been moved and seconded. Go ahead, Madam Secretary.
Motion to pass. Chow.
Aye.
Chow, aye. Steinort. Aye. Steinort, aye. Burke. Burke, aye. Chu. Chu, aye. Gaines. Aye. Gaines, aye. Lopez. Aye. Lopez, aye. Mullen. Aye. Mullen, aye.
Your bill is out. Congratulations.
Thank you very much to the committee.
Thanks for being here.
Sir, I'm not sure if Ms. Gaines would like to add to 1448.
At this time, I'd like to keep the meeting open for the next few minutes for add-ons.
1448, would you like to add? Assembly Member Gaines, 1448, no.